Go there.
No,
Go there and
they're
say
not.
North Korea nuke South Korea. What should we do?
Wow, I don't. You just go to places like that. Why in the world would North Korea nuke
But
South
guys,
Korea?
all I'm listen.
They're Koreans.
As a person who was just thinking from the. We have a guy right now that the conversation I had yesterday, 2 days ago. We had Peter Pry here, Dr. Peter Pry. I don't know if you know who he is or not. He is the leading expert for weapons of mass destruction and nuclear weapons and super EMPs. And experts are saying if they drop a super EMP, 70% of America is going to die within 30 days.
Yeah, sure.
This is a reality, and so there's a lot of shit going on today. So for me to sit there and say, guys, don't worry about it. It's going to be chill. Nothing's going to.
No
that's
one
not
said
so
that.
saying.
Wow, I don't know where you're going with that.
I just ask you a simple question.
No,
you're telling me I'm
asking a
asking.
question. It's like, what if a nuclear?
Because
bomb
it could
explodes?
happen.
Everything could happen.
No, that's not. This is not everything, though.
Well,
I'm from Iran, buddy. This is not coming from a guy that.
And hold on.
This is like we're living in a land
Who
in
nuked
America
Iran?
where there's no wars here.
Did somebody nuke Iran?
500,000 people died between them and Iraq.
Yes,
know.
hold on. By the way,
It was a
yes,
war.
and by the way, because the United States was funding and supporting both sides.
We were giving money to both sides in that war.
If North Korea today, okay, so let me go back to what you said. You said something here. You said, well, if we take this route and here's what's going to be happening, and they're going to see us as the good guys, saying, hey guys, don't do this, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, if your last name is Trump, when you go to school, but you're not Donald Trump, but your last name is Trump. If you go somewhere, you're going to school or you're doing business, you introduce yourself as, hi, I'm Barron Trump. Are you going to be judged?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Of course.
If your last name is Kennedy, and say, hi, I'm Robert Kennedy Jr., are you going to be judged?
Sure, of course.
Your last name is Clinton. I'm Chelsea Clinton. How are you? Do you immediately go to, I'm dealing with a Trump, a Kennedy, or a Clinton? Sure. Yes? Okay. If you are representing a country whose name is the United States of America, and you're going to saying, listen, guys, we've changed. We're nice people now.
But that's not what I'm suggesting.
We don't want to do this anymore. Let's just kind of kick it and let's have a good relationship together and let's do this. Say you change. Say we change philosophically, dramatically, to go to a libertarian philosophy. I see the only way that works if everybody is joining that camp. China's going to say, yeah, good for you guys. Go ahead. Russia's going to say, okay, awesome, nice people. Your current system means in about 4 to 8 years, new guy's going to take over what you're doing right now, and he's going to go back to whatever was in the past before.
This dystopian future is happening now.
Well,
you're acting like this is some future. The Chinese right now are dominating us in places like Africa and Southeast Asia because we are wasting our time fighting wars in Afghanistan.
They love it. Listen, they love
it.
They
Are
love
you
what we're
kidding
doing.
me?
See, here's the thing.
It's today, man.
Well, let me just say, okay, there's two errors here that you can control for, right? And I think you're focusing on one and not the other, and the other is more the reality of the situation right now. So you can make the argument that if we kind of back off, that's less of a disincentive for other people to take over because they don't think we're going to be as forceful, as strong. What's actually going on more in reality right now is that we are provoking a lot of these other countries into some of their actions. I mean, look, we expanded NATO all the way up to the Russian border, and then we're shipping in money, weapons and money, and also we're instrumental in a Ukrainian coup in 2014, all before Vladimir Putin ended up invading. I don't think the lesson here is necessarily that, if we back off, he's going to invade. We also might provoke him by going further. And I think this could be happening. Okay, fine. So
and
there's
Finland
also
today said that they were considering joining NATO.
Right.
So it's like
this
that's
is,
on
now
board.
Now things are escalating higher and higher rather than what we want, which is to de-escalate the situation. Okay. So on top of that, look, do you honestly think, let's think about this. Does Vladimir Putin or does China, do they want us out of Afghanistan or in Afghanistan for another 20 years?
They want us in.
They want us in for another 20 years. They are not looking at what we've done with this empire and saying, oh, great, they bankrupted themselves and destroyed their culture. Maybe we could be next on that. I think they'd rather wait. China's been going around and investing with countries while we've been occupying them militarily. We have made the hugest blunder strategically in the 21st century of handing the 21st century to China. We need to stop doing that. What we should be doing is saying, yes, we're going to pull back. We can trade with people, invest with them. We're going to have the freest economy here we can have and be 100 times richer than China, and they're not something we're going to have to worry about. I'd much rather go in that direction than in the direction of, look, it's like this. Anytime, I understand you're saying that you're not advocating for us provoking them. You're talking about how do we make sure that we defend. But once you create this entrenched power, This is where it's going to go. You know, the old Cold Warriors back in the day, before the fall of the Soviet Union, guys like Bill Buckley, he used to say, you know, I basically agree with libertarians, you know, in theory. But look, we got the Soviet Union. So we have to have this big military-industrial complex. In his words, we needed a totalitarian bureaucracy within our own shores just to fight off the Soviet Union, to fight this Cold War. And then when the Soviet Union fell in 1991, they all went, great, military-industrial complex over. Now we can go back to being a normal country. Oh, no, of course they didn't. Then they went, oh, we got to go see about Saddam Hussein. We got to go see about Kosovo. We got to go see. And just wars continued on and on and on, because once you have this entrenched government power, well, this is how they make money. Yep. This is how they expand their power. So it's not, I don't think you can have it perfectly down the middle, where we're this big, bad policeman of the world, but we only do good by everyone. It's too corrupting. This is what the founders all said. This is why we can't go around the world looking for monsters to slay. Yep. We have to stay here. 90% of the world is in really bad shape. It's not what first world people live like, and I think you know that. It's not. That is a sad, difficult reality. But the best thing we can be is be a city on a hill. Be an example to these other countries. Let them learn from us. If we're richer and happier and more prosperous and more free, other countries will try to emulate us. We can't enforce it at the barrel of a gun.
And
it's not going to work.
And stop subsidizing our threats.
Well, that's for sure. Yes.
Whether it's the CIA funding the next terror group that we haven't even heard of yet, like they did with ISIS, like they did with Al Qaeda. Whether it's like we're talking about essentially subsidizing the economies of Russia and China through bad regulatory and tax structures here that make it harder to do business here. Whether it's, what started with the Middle East, Operation Ajax. Eisenhower, because he didn't like the democratically elected government that was in Iran, he replaced it. He did Operation Ajax, which was the CIA going in and deposing the democratically elected government, replacing it with the Shah, who was very unpopular, right? And so he comes in and comes back in with a vengeance, and that leads to the
revolution.
Yeah, it leads to the Iranian Revolution. Okay, so now you have the Ayatollahs in charge. This is what happens. When we're saying what are we going to do about it, what we should do about it is look at how we got here and then how we can fix it. If there were a stop China from invading anyone button, I don't think anyone here wouldn't press it. But there isn't. What there is a military-industrial complex that has proven itself really bad at doing things other than making money for cronies and corporate interests, killing lots and lots of people, and making us all less safe in the process.
Do you think there's a likelihood that we're going to have another Hitler?
No.
Are you saying in the States or in the world?
No. Worldwide, not in the States. Do you think there's a likelihood that there will be possibly another Hitler?
I think it's unlikely. I mean, it's not impossible. Look, I think you have three figures in the 20th century who kind of rise to that level of evil in Hitler, Stalin, and Mao.
Yeah.
And so the idea of having another one of them, I think that might be a type of unique evil that was somewhat unique to that time in this post-industrialized world, in the aftermath of World War I. I think it would be much harder to pull off today in a world where information travels so much quicker around the world. That doesn't mean it's impossible.
And nuclear weapons too. Nuclear weapons also.
I do think it is likely. I want to say I think it is likely, and we have to look at what led to the Hitler and Stalin and Mao. Which, by the way, it wasn't them as individuals. If it hadn't been them, it would have been someone else. Okay, so in Hitler, we had the Weimar Republic, which did out-of-control spending. Also, the after effects of World War I. World War II is basically an extension of World War I. There was a 20-year truce that happened there. But in the meantime, you had the Allied countries that were just destroying Germany's economy. Germany's government was spending money out of control, and it led to the money being worth absolutely nothing. And that allowed a madman like Hitler to come in because he provided a stark contrast to what everyone else was saying. And that allowed that to happen.
And it was also our Federal Reserve. I mean, if you look at I think it was in 28, the Nazis, the Nazi Party, destroyed in the elections in Germany. Then they came back again in the special election, was in 30, I think. It's right around these years. And they came back and they took a bunch of power. This was how the Nazis got in power. And it was all because of the Great Depression, which was caused by our bubble bursting here that the Federal Reserve created. And then all of the debt got called in from Germany. It destroyed the German people. And, of course, enforcing the Treaty of Versailles, as you said. Look, Woodrow Wilson in World War I said we have to make the world safe for democracy, right? Kind of this argument. Yeah. We had despots in Europe, so we have to go there and overthrow them. And we overthrow that. The kings and queens, the monarchs are all gone in Europe, in England in name only, but the monarchs are gone in England. And then in the aftermath of World War I, you got Adolf Hitler, Vladimir Lenin, and Joseph Stalin. And those monarchs looked pretty good at that point.
Well, I want to bring up one quick point, though. I'm not against fighting. I'm a Marine. I'm not afraid of violence. I'm trained to be violent. Tons of my brothers and sisters have gone over there and lost arms and legs. But my worry is, why are my Marines leaving their legs in the streets of, I don't know, Kandahar or Baghdad? If I'm going to leave my legs in the streets of Manhattan, I'll fight for my city. I'll fight for my country. I'll fight for my nation. I'm not afraid of that. But why are we sending literally millions of men and women to go fight overseas, and when they come back, we treat them like garbage anyway, and then they don't even know why they died. They don't know why their lives are ruined. This is not the right answer, right? If they're gonna die, and I'm telling you, I know these people, they would lay their life down. And when I was a Marine, I would have ordered men to their death, or I would have gone to my death, because Ronald Reagan, who was my first commander-in-chief, would have told me to do so.
Yeah.
And many of them would do it. But why are we doing it in Afghanistan? Literally for nothing. In Iraq, literally for nothing.
The active duty military people vote and send more money to the most anti-war presidential candidate. Ron Paul got more money from active duty military members than every other Republican combined in 2008 and 2012. Donald Trump got far more support from the military than Hillary Clinton when he was taking a more dovish stance in 2016. The people who actually have to fight these wars are the ones who know what's up, and they don't want to do it.
Gary Johnson was popular with veterans too. Even Gary Johnson was.
He got some like double digits, right?
Yep.
I've been to almost all 50 states at this point in just the last 2-3 years, during the campaign and after the campaign, working on You Are the Power and growing that now. Doing that, I've met with people across the country. I would say that at any event that I do, anywhere from 20 to 40% of the people that come out are either active duty or veterans who are coming. What brought them into libertarianism was either me or someone else, Dave or Larry or Ron Paul or whomever else, telling them that we were against the wars of intervention. We were against the military-industrial complex. We were against the Veterans Administration it's not even single payer, government-run healthcare system that's completely destroying their health, the health that they were promised when they came back. That's what's bringing them to it. This system isn't working. It makes us less safe. It wastes a bunch of money. Countless scores of people are dying overseas. Many more are coming here and dying. Veterans people are going over. Active duty troops are going over there and dying. The ones that are fortunate enough to come home not in a flag draped casket, come home with PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, all sorts of health problems. They're given the worst form of health care in this country, the Veterans Administration. 1 out of every 10 homeless people is homeless. 1 out of every 10 people in prison is a veteran. 1 out of every 10 homeless people is a veteran. 1 out of every 10 prisoners is a veteran. It's actually higher than that now. And this is as a direct result of this system. So when we're saying do something, yes, we should do something. And that something is looking at the root cause of what even caused a communist regime to be powerful in the first place and stop doing that.
Yeah. So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.